Today we're going to talk about this ancient concept, the lamp of darkness. Yesterday we spoke about it in the context of the metaphor from Masechet Bava Batra as an axe that Moses used to kill Og Melech Bashan. Right? This axe, though, obviously we're not talking about physical killing, we're talking about a spiritual transformation. So this lamp of darkness, the Botzina de Cardenita, is what God used to hide himself. Imagine that you're full of infinite light. How do you hide yourself? You're everywhere. How do you hide yourself when you're everywhere? Infinite light. So God created a lamp that actually covers over his own light. Now, where do we see this? I thought about it. Think about it. Why do kids love playing hide and seek? Machboim. Call it in Hebrew. Why do kids love hiding? Even just closing your face. They love it. Because when you take your hand away, there's this moment of recognition. That moment of recognition brings pleasure. So I just picked up my dad at the airport. I haven't seen him for a while. There's a moment of recognition. There's a tremendous pleasure enters the heart. And God creates the world in that way that he can hide in order to reveal himself. So it's a wonderful thing, really, that God hides. Now, most of us say, God's always hiding. I never see him, I never hear from him, nothing. But we know, really, that's because we don't look. And we have to open up the books and study and understand what he's doing and how he's doing it. But once we understand, suddenly the miracle occurs that we have recognition of this presence of the Creator everywhere, in everything, in all people, everywhere. Okay. The next piece of the metaphor that we learned yesterday is about the size of Moses and his soul. And we're told that Moses was 5 meters tall. Now, what does that mean? If he was 5 meters tall, how tall was his wife? 1.5 meters? It's going to be a tough shidduch to work out, you know. So of course, when the Torah gives us measures of people's height, their physical size, etc., it's talking about the size of their soul, their spiritual self. Now, the spiritual soul is not a physical thing, so how can you measure it? But rather, we're not measuring it in terms of space. We're measuring in terms of spiritual power. Because there is no space in the spiritual realm. In the spiritual realm, one soul can fly through another, just like in the movies, because they don't take up space. But there is a difference between the radiation of the light of the soul, depending on what that soul has done in the world. When a person does good, he creates more light. And what's more good here? Now we understand what more good is. It means uncovering the light that's hidden by the darkness, by this lamp that God essentially designed creation with. So we're actually forcing God to reveal himself by doing good. And the more good you do, the bigger your soul gets, the more light you reveal. So this relationship between the creation and the human race is most exemplified, of course, by Moses, because he was this great prophet and he gave his life to the Jewish people and he suffered many things for the people. You know, he was a prince in Egypt. He was a stepson of Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, you know, it's nice to be the stepson of the king. You know, you have access to the whole nation. You get to learn whatever you want to learn and go where you want to go. And Moses had everything. But Moses stayed connected to his people. We know that he learned Torah in Goshen with the Levi'im, with his own tribe. And he was able to maintain his connection to the Jewish people even while he was a prince in Egypt. And so that transformation that took place for him, imagine when he got kicked out of the palace. And his own father wanted to kill him because he broke up a fight between a Jew and an Egyptian. Okay. So understand well that when we talk about measurements in the Torah, the size of a person's soul has to do with the amount of light that they reveal in the world. And your soul gets bigger the more good you do. So, you're going to have to get new clothes when you when you do more good. Now, we see this symbol of this in the changing of names. When the Torah gives somebody a new name, it means that their soul has jumped a level. And once they get that new name, it's a new window of God in their soul. And we're told that the Talmud teaches that Moses had 7 different names because he kept growing and kept expanding and kept doing more for the people and for the will of Hashem and receiving the Torah, teaching, etc. So these are some very important ideas that we could think about and think about and think about and understand and see how really perfect sense they make.
Where's my card?
All the best.